Hello and welcome back to Eve Space Project. So up here now we have our last little module. This is again one of the BFS, not the Starship. I'm sorry, but it was originally called the Big Feckin' Rocket. And as with SpaceX, they get too politically correct and start calling things stupid names. So instead of suicide burns, you have hover slams. But yes, we have our BFS here, and I have a little bit of work before carrying on with what this needs to do. I want to create a build platform on the edge of this new station. So I thought I'd keep this all on to show everybody how much of a pain this is. It is brilliant, and I love the KISS mod. It adds so much to Kerbal Space Program, it's ridiculous. But especially when things are floating in space, because it requires every mod maker to make parts attachable or carryable or things like that, it becomes a bit of a problem. And this used to be a carryable part, but it doesn't seem to be anymore. So my problem was that I couldn't actually get it out. I couldn't lift it, it was too heavy, and I couldn't get it across to where I was because it was slowly drifting away. So I came up with a bit of an ingenious thing. First off, I brought out another Kerbal because you can add the amount that you lift if you have another Kerbal in the vicinity. And then second, what I did was at first I decided to try pushing the ship back in because I didn't want to be too aggressive for the RCS. However, after that idea went cattywampus, I decided to bring it back in using the RCS and then move one Kerbal across and just hang it on the ladder because that should be close enough. And then the next trick is actually a drifting trick. So you grab the part while you're moving towards where you want to attach it, and once you get close enough you can place it. And it means that you can be further away from the place that you grabbed it from to be able to do this. You'll see this slightly later on in the video as well, but it's an interesting little trick if you need to do something like this in space or on a low gravity environment. But after we get that part on, it means that we can start building things up at the space station with enough rocket parts. So it is time for the next leg of this mission, which is to get out to I keep wanting to say Minmus, but I know it's Gilly. But we get out here, and every time I do this, every time I set an injection burn under 30 kilometers, it shoves me right into the middle of the planet, the moon. The problem with this is, well, there's a couple of problems with this. Obviously, you don't want to crash, but the other thing is that because of how high the time warp thing is and the low speeds that you're moving at when you're orbiting Gilly, it is a massive pain. So I actually use way too much delta V here. I could get away with about 200 for all of my manoeuvres, but I get so sick and tired that I end up spending about 1500 delta V just burning to places quite rapidly because it takes so long to do anything. As you can see here, just burning straight towards the ground because that's a good and safe idea. But eventually we get down to the ground, sort of, and this is, so I'm having a couple of problems with this, and this is why Eve is quite a hard place, because aside from the fact that it's difficult to launch from, and in my case slightly more difficult because of the mods that I'm using, it also becomes a bit of a problem because of the fact that the moon that you have for resources isn't actually strong enough. It doesn't have a lot of gravity to hold things down, so placing things can be a problem. But as you see there, I grabbed a solar panel off of the main ship and used that to give myself a bit more EC on this base. And essentially, I was originally going to build this base up as a mining base, but it becomes such a problem to have too many things in one place. And then I saw on the forums, as most people will know if they've seen my stuff on the forums, that Angel from Wild Blue Industries is making some nice shiny new parts. So I'm kind of putting this on hold until that mod's released around about Christmas time, because it'll give me some bigger storage things and it will work a lot better with the gameplay that I'm doing. However, this does give me a base to build up things. For instance, there is it now has the ability to generate just a little bit more life support than it uses. So over time it can actually build up a stockpile of life support for me, which is good because it's less delta V to get it from there back to the planet than it is to get it from the surface of the planet up into orbit. So that's my idea. And as you can see here, we're just doing our little return. And yeah, this ship actually works, even the short version of this ship works really well going through the atmosphere, and it's actually quite glidable. As you've seen before, I've actually done glide landings on the water with this thing, which is quite nice to be able to do. It does require that you have the rear fins up and the front fins down. So you actuate the rear fins only to do that. But as you see here, I come in, and because of how dark it is, I am aiming for that little tiny island there. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get too close to it. It starts tipping nose down, which is always a dangerous thing. So I try to get in control there, and I can't. So I yank my parachutes. It's always good to have an emergency. And then I land on the ground and realise that I was aiming for a puddle. But alas, what are you gonna do? So, back at the KSC, we repair the damage that's been done to our launch pad, and we go for another launch. Now, again, I'm showing this start to finish because it's a different vehicle, but if you can see that blurring, I thought that was because I had changed the settings once again. I had changed the settings in Alien Space Program to try and, I don't know, I'm trying to make it comfier. As you can see, I'm back at the same place that I was originally when I started this whole endeavour. However, this now means that I'm taking off with a full 10 atmospheres of pressure, and the atmosphere height is the same. It's the same as stock, so it's a 90-kilometre atmosphere with 10 atmospheres of pressure, which I was actually told was impossible, but you know, you've got to give it a try. But it did something, I don't know what's going on here. It seems to be something with Scatterer, but yeah, it made it very fuzzy. But I go for it because there is one ship that I want up in space. I want something that is never coming back down to Eve, something that is going to be my lander for Gilly and can dock to the space station and transfer in between, and can also do rescues of Kerbals, so it has the grappling ability and things, which will give me the ability to rescue people, to move things, all sorts. A multi-role vehicle. Also has a bit of cargo capacity that is reconfigurable using the Wild Blue suite, the Pathfinder values that allow you to change cargoes. So this was my idea, and as you can see here, this takes a lot to get up into the upper atmosphere. We're only at 30,000, which is a third of the way, and we've already expended 2 stages of boosters. But as we gain a little bit more ISP, more thrust, I'm not sure which one it is, more efficiency on the engines, we sort of get better off the further up we go, and we're doing not too bad here. It is a hell of a gravity turn because you have to go up most of the way to get out of the atmosphere, but we do it. And as you can see here, I'm coming up to the border, and that fuzziness is just not going. As it happens, I ended up reloading it to get rid of it. But we do manage to pulse up into orbit and still have enough fuel. And as I've said before, I'm using the recovery mod, so this, although it is, I think it's $1.5 million to launch this vessel, I'm actually saving quite a lot of the money because I'm saving it parts. I'm just spending the money on fuel, which is not the most efficient way because of how much it's required just to get the volume of the vehicle into space. But it makes it a little bit easier, and small stuff annoys me. So I was just checking my recovered stages there, and there was quick save and reload, and you've seen this section before, dropping it off. It was just a modification of my previous launcher. Again, spin it round, burn it back into the atmosphere, and that'll recover for, I think it recovers for about 50% of the price if you don't launch it all the way back to the launch pad. So I get a good amount of money out of it. 50% of the vehicle, I think, not including the fuel. But anyways, so this is my next little vehicle. And as you can see at the back of it, it is powered by a nuclear stage. So the idea behind this is I have high delta V because I'm only pushing on nuclear, so I'm only using liquid fuel, no oxidizer, which means I can carry more fuel, more efficiency, etc, etc, etc. However, the problem that I'm getting here is that, as you can see right now, the actual thrust on this thing is abysmal, and it is painfully bad. It took me several burns to get out to Gilly, and as this will show, now bear in mind this is accelerated by quite a bit. This was my braking burn at Gilly, and it is just awful. And this coupled with the low sort of power means that although I have to use this for a few things, I really want to do something else. But it is quite a good ship, with the exception of how long it takes to do anything. So we do get down to the base to carry out the rest of our... What I'm doing here is I've actually got a couple of tourists who want to go and land on the surface, so that couples in with adding more things to the base. One of the things I needed to do was to get a reactor so that I can have more things running. And the safer reactors, which are again part of the Wild Blue mods, I can't remember which one, they kick out, I think they kick out 125 power a second, and they use uranium, but they also have an integrated radiator, which is why they're my favourite thing. I really wish there was a couple of different sizes of these, because they work on their own independently. Although I use a lot of near future stuff, I really like these as well for smaller things. But as you can see, we're doing our add-ons here. I'm getting a bit of a problem with the placing the stuff. I don't know what's going on there. I'm sure Angel's going to go, "What's wrong with my mods?" as soon as he sees this. But then we have to do our little drifting trick again. And I miss where I'm aiming, as you can hear me frantically clicking. So I drop it on the ground and then bounce it back towards. Now that's a dangerous thing, because occasionally you do get stuff hits the ground and explodes. But we managed to get it locked on, and that gives me a nuclear reactor on this that will run the basic stuff that it needs. And after a little while we transfer some people about, make sure that all of the material kits, I think it was material kits and equipment I brought up here, all of them are taken off, and actually the base managed to refuel this rocket, so it's back at full fuel. I actually took a little bit more fuel going back the way, but for those of you watching, this is accelerated multiple times, that's why it looks so smooth and fast. In reality, again, this is a pain, I hate this thing. But then comes the return, so it's kind of painful to get back to Eve, but once there I have to brake, and that's what really just drove me round the bend. I had to do an aero braking pass, but obviously I can't aero brake with this thing because it's not designed for it, so I need to do a braking pass, and this is my braking pass. And as you can see how little I manage over that massive distance, so I jump the manoeuvre node forward and slow down again. And one more time. And yeah, this is what's annoying me. Now, I know this is how a lot of people do things, but it just annoys me having this lack of thrust, and I'm more than happy to sacrifice thrust for efficiency in this case. So this thing, although I've got a few more things that I need to use it for, I'm trying to figure out a different way of doing this because it is just causing me pain in my face. But after several braking passes, of which I just lost the will to show you them because there were so many, we managed to get back to our space station and then get docked up. Now, there are a few things going on with this space station. At the moment, it is... I need to collapse some of the parts of it. I want to remove a few of the parts, I want to slim it down and get rid of any modules, as I said before, that are in the STX mod, because I literally have one part on a few different things and I'm not using it for anything else. The one thing I was using it for was an electric fan, but it's broken and I can't use it, so I figure I don't need to use it anymore. So it's time to pull that mod out. But that's us for the moment. We've had a few sort of caretaking mods. We still have a whole load of tourists that have been out that we need to return to the surface. but for the moment they can stay in space until we work out what to do with them. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. And if you are off for the Christmas period, have good fun, don't drink too much, only drink a couple of bottles of whiskey. Anyways, goodbye.